Hello wonderful humans, and welcome back to another video where I talk about The Shadow Rising, book 4 in The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I'm really happy that I am reading this book. It is so amazing. I think the last video I may have been in a really excited headspace, and I'm still really loving the book. Maybe not so gush worthy this time, not because I have loved it any less, just there's nothing that was so groundbreaking. I think I'm about to hit some things in the next chapter, I think, from what I can tell, but now I feel like we've hit the halfway point between the halfway point of The Shadow Rising and some answers that I didn't know I was waiting for arrived in the last video, and it set up a whole heap of new questions. So now we're moving towards setting up more questions, and it's just a very different feel, and I love it. I loved both parts to what I read this time. So part one of what I read this time was continuing on Perrin's adventures, and then on the other side of things we've got Matt and Rand's adventures. A little bit of a Gwen in there as well, but mostly it's focusing on Matt and Rand. So that's what I'm talking about today. In case you are new here, welcome. I read a chapter of the book and then I talk about it with you. It's my initial first reactions. I don't think about it too much. Sometimes I do. Last video I walked away a few times before I wrote my notes, but I literally just write down what I'm thinking in the moment. So I don't hit on every plot point. I don't cover everything that's super exciting about it. I'll miss things. That's okay. I'll also make some false assumptions, and that's okay too, like I did in the last video, which has been pointed out to me. So I'm just going to also say this is my first time ever reading The Shadow Rising or any of Wheel of Time, so please be very careful of the spoilers. I actually really like the fact that I make those false assumptions as well, because I think it sort of talks to you more about my experience of reading it as a first time reader, going in with very little knowledge of where this is going. I think I know a few things about what's to come, but very little. So I'm going in with fresh eyes and I'm loving it, and it's also a really great opportunity for you to reminisce on what it was like for you the first time you read The Wheel of Time, if you've read it, or if you're reading it for the first time, to sort of join in the conversation and know that I'm trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible, because I have not read past what I'm talking about in this video today. So anyway, I'm going to get started. Today I'm talking about chapters 31 through to 37, and I'll get started with chapter 31, Assurances. So Tam and Abel, awesome. I didn't think that they were just going to show up. I thought Perrin was going to have to go find them, but yay, so excited to actually get to know these two. Because we've heard about them. We've heard how Rand talks about Tam, and I love Tam just because of that relationship. And I've heard about how Matt feels about his dad, and now we get to see these characters without their sons, and oh, I'm so excited. I had a feeling Varen was going to show up at some point in this book, because I just thought she was too good a character for her to have been missing. She was missing in The Dragon Reborn. She had to show back up in this book. In my opinion anyway. So I'm really excited that Varen showed up. I think not that when Perrin made it through the Waygate, I made some joke about, oh, of course Varen might follow them through the Waygate. I wasn't actually expecting her to show up through the Waygate, but super excited that she's here. And I really can't wait to get to know Alana and all the crew, the Waters, Varen, all of them. Thank you to whoever did say that Alana, just warned me that Alana was quite different to TV Alana, because I love that. I actually think this is a really great opportunity for me to really delve into a different interpretation, quite different from what I can see anyway, because yeah, Alana in the TV series, yeah, super snacky, super friendly, very different, and I'm really enjoying seeing a different version of her, but love them both in different ways. Not that I've really seen much of Alana so far, but anyway. It won't take much for Tam to put everything together that about Rand, based on what Perrin let slip in this chapter. Just a little bit about they hadn't yet seen any evidence from Perrin or Matt that they were Tavern. It's not going to take much for Rand, for Tam to work out about Rand all that he needs to hear is a rumour about what's happened in Tyr, and a rumour that the Dragon Reborn is out there, and he'll be able to work it out. He's an intelligent character from what I can tell. And then shifting the focus during this chapter to Bornhold Jr. I know he's got a first name, but that's how I refer to him. And then Ordith, a lot of intrigue going on here, really, really cool intrigue. They do not trust each other, so how long until they separate or one of them dies? I feel like that. I feel like there's going to be a separation rather than an outright murder, and that could be really cool to watch how that unfolds potentially, because there's a lot of possibilities for what happens when Bornhold Jr., who I don't think is stupid, I think he's quite capable of putting things together. He's just misguided in his beliefs. I think he's going to put some things together at some point, I think. Anyway, Ordith appears to be more Mordith than Fane. And I just don't know that there's a whole lot of Fane left in there. His abilities are incredibly mysterious, which is playing into this idea of him being Slayer, which Robert Jordan is setting up so well for the assumption to be that Fane is Slayer. So that's what I'm going with. And he killed Perrin's family, but maybe because he lost control. That I'm interested to find out a little bit more about that. Maybe he lost control more so than completely on purpose. I think there was intention there that maybe didn't necessarily match up with his actions. I'm not sure, but I do feel that he's not fully in control of his urges, I suppose. He's definitely focused on Rand, which is why I think that it's so strange, maybe because he didn't get Tam. It depends on what order these things happened in. He's definitely focused on Rand, but has something against Perrin. And I don't know that it's just that Perrin is Tavern. I feel that there's something else there as well that I'll be very interested to see play out. I'm really curious to know exactly what that is. There is a possibility Rand will come to the Two Rivers once he's finished in Rhuidean, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's just, there's a possibility that that will happen, but I don't think so. So he'd have to know the symbol for the Two Rivers of Manetheren to use the portals. Manetheren was probably not old enough for there to be a symbol. Whatever the symbol was for the area, he'd have to know that to be able to portal them there. And I doubt he can use the Waygate. Even if Loyal was with him, I think the Dark Wind, whatever it's called, Mushin, that thing, whatever that's called, is preventing him, I think, from using the Waygate. So even if Loyal was with him, I don't think that's a possibility. So Rand, I don't think will show up, but there is a possibility. I don't know why this is exactly what I was focusing on during this chapter, but it was, so I'm going with it. So what's Ordith doing with the Fade? Oh, that will be really, really concerning and really fascinating. He's got a plan. I'm really intrigued to see Ordith's plan in action and how Bornhold Jr. reacts to it once he puts things together, because I think he will put things together at some point. And yeah, and just as a little side note here, you will, if you are reading this for the first time and you don't want any spoilers, if you've been avoiding, haven't read comments in other videos, just skip ahead like a little bit. The implication here is that Slayer is likely Fane. Robert Jordan is writing it in a very, very specific way, that he is implying that Slayer and Fane are the same person, even though someone has told me in the comments that this is not the case. I'm going to ignore that and continue on the journey following what Robert Jordan is writing. Just, again, be careful about spoilers, because that's sort of the journey. I think there's enough in there that implies that it could be someone else. But the way that Robert Jordan is writing it, it is connecting the two of them. And I think the reveal for who Slayer actually is will be a bigger surprise if I think that it's Fane. So that's what I'm going to continue on with. So please bear with me. I know that's all fine. So back again to the next chapter, chapter 32, questions to be asked. I am super curious as to why Varen and Alana are in the Two Rivers. I don't know why they're there. I very much doubt I'll get a clear answer out of Varen in particular. Alana may be there for one reason. Varen will not tell us what she's doing there. And what could she possibly be writing in her notebook? That is super intriguing as well. Wouldn't it be amazing to have like a Varen's notebook as a standalone book that we could just have so we know what she's writing? Just where my thoughts go. There's definitely the sense that Alana is underestimating Perrin, thinking he'll be easy to control. So she's doing the same thing that Moraine thought, and that other Aes Sedai and other people have thought, that the Two Rivers folk will be easy to manipulate and control. But she's going to work that out. Varen knows better. Varen knows that she can still do it, but she's got to go about doing it in a different way. And she's not overly subtle about it either, which is why I like her so much. She still manipulates and controls in her own way, but she's not subtle. She knows that that's not going to work. She's worked out the Two Rivers folk and has worked out that is not going to work. They may not trust her, but they do somewhat trust her advice because she's so straightforward about it. I think that's my take on that anyway. They definitely don't trust her, especially Perrin knows not to trust her, but he also knows that he can trust her. That's not quite right. He knows that he can if he has to. Like, yeah. Anyway, so this is where we see Layla for the first time, and Layla was in the TV series, if you haven't watched it. I hope this version of events, she and the others at the farm are safe and they don't die, and the parent doesn't have to carry that with him, because I feel that whatever deaths happen in the Two Rivers from the moment he arrives, from now until the time that this is all over, I do feel that he will carry that in some way. He may not ever really talk about it. Perrin doesn't talk about these things, but I feel like he will carry it with him as a bit of guilt. Anyway, so I hope that he doesn't carry that. I hope Layla gets to live a long and happy life. It's fascinating to see how suspicious they all are. It brings back memories of, and I haven't made a comparison for a while, but Perrin's return to the Two Rivers feels a lot like the scourging of the Shire in The Lord of the Rings, and I love that. It's not the same. It's definitely not the same plot or the same sort of situation, but the hint of it is there. The hint of a memory almost, as if Lord of the Rings is another turning of the wheel almost, and this is taken some elements of it, the idea of it, and it's there, and I really like that. I hope none of the Two Rivers folk turn on Perrin. I really hope that no one turns him into the White Cloaks, but I do feel that it's likely, even if it's not done on purpose, someone will let it slip. We'll just have to hope that he's okay, and that no one betrays him, and that the Two Rivers folk don't turn on him, although who knows how they'll behave. I'm a bit worried about long term. The Eamon's Fielders are one lot, but what about the rest of them? Anyway, I'm curious to see how this all plays out. Vale let some things slip here. More and more, I think it's likely she's of the nobility, of one kind of nobility, whether that is just a child of a lord, or a ruler of a kingdom, or something like the child of a ruler of a kingdom. I don't know, and I'm looking forward to finding that out when that comes up. I think that's really cool. Perrin is noticing it, even if he's not realizing that he's noticing it. So I think he doesn't realize the cause of it all, but he's putting things together. And this is what I love about Perrin as well, is he notices things and he pieces them together over a period of time, and he doesn't necessarily jump to conclusions straight away. Sometimes but he uses the information he has at his disposal, and he forms new opinions about it. And I think that will also be a really big benefit moving forward for Rand and Perrin and Mat once they work. They've all got this ability to do this when they do stop and think about it. Mat doesn't always do this, but he can. He's got the ability to, when he remembers to slow down and stop and think. Anyway, we're not talking about Mat right now. And we're about to meet Lord Luc, and the young boys appear really happy to see him. I hope I'm wrong and he's a potential friend, or maybe not a friend, but an ally of some kind. If not an ally, someone who's just oblivious to what's going on. But I really do think he could be one of the Forsaken. Please let me be wrong. Well, I'm really, really curious about Lord Luc and what he's actually doing there, and who he is. Where's he from? We don't know anything about him. I'm looking forward to finding out. So chapter 33, a new weave in the pattern. And this was a cool chapter. Perrin is coming into his own tavernness, and it is really fitting for him, more so than the other two, Matt and Rand, that it happens at home in the Two Rivers. I think that it just makes so much sense that Perrin is here, coming into his own without them being there. He acts differently when the others are there, and he is now able to not think about that, and he's just slipping into this, and I love it. He's got the same ability to be a leader as Rand, different sort of ways about going about it, but he's still got the same ability in a completely different way. Thale's noticing, Tam and Abel just accept it, and wasn't that amazing how they just sort of just go with it. They've taken this and they've realised there's something bigger going on, and they're running with it. And Verin is loving life. I just love Verin's just there. She's just having a great time watching him do his thing, for scholarly research purposes, of course. I still think that there's more going on there, but I think this is all just fantastic, and that Verin is she's in the background. Moraine would be right next to him trying to control it, as would most Aes Sedai. Verin's just letting Perrin do his thing and observing. And this is, I think, she's there if he was to ask her for something, she would tell him whether she can do that or not, because she does that. She steps up when needed, but she's letting him do his thing. So she's obviously got a little bit more trust in the pattern, maybe, or she's really just wanting to be that scholarly observer and is watching. I just think she's got a better grip of not getting in the way of things. She's there if needed, but she's not going to make any decisions because Perrin needs to make the decisions. Whereas Moraine tries to make the decisions for them. So different, so amazing that I really like Verin. I think she's awesome. I hope she's one of the good ones that sticks around for a long time and that we learn more about her. But also I hope that she stays somewhat of a mystery, because I think that's why I like her so much. Anyway, Tam and Abel just accepting it is really just a beautiful thing to watch as well. And I think it will go a long way to helping them appreciate their sons' growth when they see them again. I assume that they'll get to see their sons again at some point, Matt and Rand. But anyway, he's definitely wary of Verin. Lord Luc, sorry, jumped ahead. Lord Luc is very interesting. I can't work him out yet, and I don't think Perrin could work him out either. Maybe he's not one of the Forsaken. Don't know. He's definitely wary of Verin as an Aes Sedai, and Perrin, he's heard something about him and he's wary of him. So I'm not ruling out the fact that he could be one of the Forsaken. I'm not sure anymore. There were a lot of people in the barn, I think, and a lot of smells as well. So Perrin may not have noticed any strangeness about him. And maybe he's not one of the Forsaken, but I do think there's something questionable about him. But Perrin did instantly dislike him, so that's something interesting. So Lord Luc has me intrigued. I want to know more. I want to know who he is, but at the same time I don't really care. He's not a character I care for in any way, shape or form. I don't dislike him, I just don't care for him. I'm really glad they freed the prisoners. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. I really thought that this had happened later in the book. So I'm glad they freed the prisoners. But the repercussions are really worrying. I'm worrying I'm really, really worried about what the White Cloaks are going to do, and what they will do to get them back, to get Perrin. What are they going to do? Because they're not the kind who'll let that go. They won't just leave that be. Where can they go that they're going to be safe? The old sick house will only work for a little while. If the White Cloaks do a strategic search for them, it's not going to work long term. So I'm hoping that there's a bigger picture plan in place. So now Perrin and his untrained soldiers, they're not soldiers, I know that, they're going Trolloc hunting. Good on them. If they survive, it'll give them stories to share for life, these young farm boys. So that'll be great for them if they survive. So I hope that they do. I hope that Perrin doesn't have to carry that with him. Verin and Thomas will definitely be of use in this hunt, but maybe not in the same way as Moraine would be. Moraine would be really useful if she, with the Trollocs, she can use balefire. Not that she would in front of anyone that would know that. I think she's saving that for the Forsaken if she needs it. But Moraine seems to be more used to fighting things. I'll be interested to see if Verin can do anything remotely the same. Anyway, all I can say is go Perrin. Go Perrin, you're awesome. Save the Two Rivers. Like, seriously, I love Perrin. This is a great story for him. I hope that it doesn't end in heartbreak. Please let this have a happy ending for the Two Rivers folk. Please. Chapter 34. He Who Comes with the Dawn. So, it looks like Rand is he who comes with the dawn, who the Isle have been waiting for. But there is still a part of me saying it still could be Mat, because Mat also came with the dawn. There's nothing that I have seen or that I can remember in their prophecy about this particular person being twice marked, but it's pretty clearly Rand. I do think that it's Rand, but I'm also sitting there saying, maybe it's Mat. I want it to be Mat just because I think that would be fun, but I think it's Rand. That makes sense, right? I think one thing, I wish it was another way. It's good to hear more of Rand's parentage. He's only half Ale, which I'm not sure that I really knew. We worked that out a few chapters back, but I don't think that was something that was known before. Like, it was mentioned a few chapters back. So where was his mother from, and why? Why do I suspect it will link him to someone we've met already? I feel that this half-brother, it was a brother, I think half-brother is going to be someone we've already met. No, and that's really, really got me guessing. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we've already met them. I don't know who. I'm super excited to find that out and whether it has any repercussions for anything else. Couladin, I think Couladin. Anyway, he's going to be trouble. Obviously, it can't be too easy for Rand. He can't just sweep in and have his own way. He has to have opposition and work for the Isle people's trust. He can't just have it handed to him on a plate. But I wish that it would be. He's going to do whatever he can to stay out of anyone's manipulation and planning, which I really like. I think that's fantastic. So everyone seems to think that they can control him, and that's their misunderstanding what their role is in all of this. They're just, they've got to back down at some point, don't they? They've got to realize. I wonder how long it will take. How many books will it take for them to try to realize? I know Rand still needs people around him, but he needs people that he can go to for advice, and not be told what to do, but be advised on ways that things could happen. I like that he is avoiding this manipulation and planning. He's finding a balance of what needs to be said and what is best kept hidden, and I think that's really great as well. He's got a lot more growth to do, I think, and I hope that whatever he's got planning, he's got something planned, and I just, yeah, anyway, I'll come back to that, I'm sure, at some point, if not this video, another one. I also really enjoy Avienda's reaction to him. I put a quote, it was a slightly longer quote, but on page 558 to 559 in this book, she disliked him, but only because she thought he had mistreated Elaine, the simplest of motives. Not for prophecy or doom, not for dragons on his arms, or because he was the dragon reborn. For a simple human reason. He almost looked forward to those cool, challenging stares. She's going to be really good for him. Like, Avienda being around Rand is going to be really, really good for him. I can imagine he'll continue to seek her out just for normalcy's sake. Also, I wouldn't be surprised long term, or maybe not long term, but at some point, if Avienda ends up doing some training in Tar Valon. I think that would be very interesting, especially if, me thinking out loud for a minute, especially if the Isle, Avienda, as an Isle representative, is at Tar Valon, as well as the sea folk, the, what is her name? As well as maybe Joran from the sea folk, I think the Windfinder from the ship that Elaine and Nynaeve are on. There could be something there about bringing these different groups together to fight back, maybe, I don't know, and learn from each other. And yeah, I think there's something there that I think would be very interesting. If Rand is going to destroy the Isle, does it mean all of them? Or is there some connection to the Tinkers in this sense? Or is there another group of Isle? Because there was, I think, there were 3 splits of the Isle. There was the Isle and what I assume are the Tinkers, and then the Gen, who I think may have died out. But there were the 3 groups, and does it mean something there? That will be very interesting to see. I'm super, super excited. Not excited, I don't want the Isle to die out, but this has got me really intrigued how this prophecy is going to actually play out, because prophecies don't play out the way we think they will all the time. So, and what benefit will it have for Moraine to have been to Rhuidean? That's going to be really interesting to play out, because I believe from what I've read and what people have said, you see your ancestry. So she won't have seen what Rand has seen. What has she seen then? I'll find out at some point. And Rand and Gwen and Lan are definitely noticing Mat's new language skills. I'm curious if Mat has realised yet, or if he's too distracted by his injuries to have realised at this stage. That's very, very interesting. Looking forward to seeing Mat's discovery unfold. Chapter 35, Sharp Lessons. Gwen is definitely learning, slowly, but still learning. She's learning when to keep her opinions to herself, sometimes. She doesn't like that Rand is treated so carefully when she is forced to obey others. She doesn't like that. But she did basically acknowledge she wouldn't like his fate. So even though she doesn't like what she's having to do, and she doesn't like being treated like a servant when she feels that she's better than that, or not a servant in this case, she didn't like that in the tower. She doesn't like being told what to do when she thinks she's better than that. Seeing Elaine experiment with seafolk clothing was really nice. I thought that was like, it was this tiny little moment, but I really liked it. It felt exactly like what people now want to do when traveling. We are intrigued by these kind of things. I love seeing her so open to travel and experiencing new things and new cultures, especially given she would never have those experiences as daughter heir. I didn't write this down, but just as a little side note, I don't like that Elaine has let slip about the sea folk, about Joran being able to channel, because I'm really, really worried about Gwen. She's showing signs of just, I think there's a bit of foreshadowing, if I've picked up on it correctly, that and I do know something about a Gwen. I don't like that she knows about the sea folk, so I hope she doesn't act on it in a way that goes against their best interest, is what I'm probably hoping. Anyway, Avienda just intrigues me in general. She's just intriguing. Every time she's there, I'm so intrigued by her. She's fun. She's intriguing. She's interesting. She's definitely someone I want to get to know more of. Is she the third person Min saw connected to Rand? Potentially. It does kind of make sense, I think, in my head. I think he will talk to her eventually. She has attracted his attention, even if only because she treats him so normally. I also really hope that we get to find out about Moiraine's experience in Rhuidean. It's rattled her somehow. Something's impacted her. I'm most curious to see what her ancestors did that connects her to all this, as I believe that she will not have seen what Rand has seen. But I think that's what we will see, or what she would have seen, her ancestors, her story. For her to have needed the experience, it has to be connected in some way for her to have needed to have seen that. Is she connected to the tree gift water thing that's alluded to, that Rand witnessed in his thing, that being able to, the one place that they're able to get water without fighting for it? Or something completely different? Like, is there a completely different thing that is linking her to all of this? Did she see something that was completely different? Who knows? Will be very interesting to see Moiraine's stuff, so I hope that we get to see, or at least hear from about that soon. Chapter 36, Misdirections. Who is Kadir? Is he evil? Simply dangerous? What about Keel? The Gleeman? Like, so intriguing. This is fascinating. Are they Forsaken? Are they connected to the Forsaken? Or are they simply dark friends? Or something else completely? Are they linked with something else that we haven't seen yet? I am so intrigued by this. Way to give me a solid reason to keep reading. Like, it's definitely wanting to know more about these four. I haven't met one of them yet in this chapter, but the three that we met in this chapter briefly, even though we didn't really meet the Gleeman in this chapter, I want to know more about these characters. Not that I needed further incentive to keep reading. I was already hooked, but this is just, I'm like, I need to keep going. I need to know who they are. Why are they here? What do they want? This chapter, the interactions between Avienda and Rand were fantastic. I laughed out loud so much just during their interactions. I loved that Rand simply, oh, she's here to spy on me. Like, seeing right through the fact that they've sent her over there. And she's all, Elaine is perfect. And then describing her in great detail. It is just fantastic. And the reaction that Luc and Matt are having in the background to their interaction is just fantastic. And I love it. This was just a really great little moment that I'm definitely looking forward to more of the two of them together, because I think they've got a really great relationship dynamic. I do think by thinking about Min and Elaine, while also thinking about Avienda's eyes, suggests that I could be right, that she is that third person. Who knows? You probably know. I don't know yet. I'll find out. And if this is true, how is Elaine going to react to that? Anyway, Matt's trying to work out what's going on with him, not elaborating on it, but I guess he's processing the new information that's filled his lacy memories. He hasn't really put it all together yet. I don't think. He's still piecing it together, trying to work out what's going on. Maybe just trying to work out why he had to go to Rhuidean as well. Maybe he's not putting it all together just yet. Maybe he's just still trying to work out why was he needing to be there. what is it that he has done or hasn't done that's going to impact future events. Was Moraine listening into the conversation with the Peddlers somehow? She was going to join the conversation but stopped and huddled with the women instead. So I wonder whether she's got some ability to listen in, or whether they do somehow. Definitely need some more Moraine insights. We're needing a chapter from Moraine's point of view, and I don't think we're going to get it for a while. And I really would like to know what's going on with her. I think super intriguing, this whole chapter. It's just laid out question after question that I want to know more about, and I love it so much. So today's last chapter, chapter 37, Imre's Stand. Trollocs. At some point during the chapter, I realised that we were probably going to get a Trolloc attack. I think when Rand realised that the attack, there had been a Trolloc attack, or that's what he thought. I thought maybe at that moment, before I read what happened, I thought maybe they'd attack from the Peddlers' wagon, similar to how they got into Tyr when the Tyr attack happened. But this is very interesting. It's a lot more interesting, I suppose, to have no idea what they're doing there, how they got there, what they want, any of that. That could also is there a waygate nearby? Maybe that would make a lot of sense for them to have found a waygate that has led them to this general area. Which that could also explain, if the Peddlers are linked to the Dark One in any way, that could also explain how the Peddlers were there without a guide, unless they killed the guide. They couldn't have crossed. There is no way that the Isle would have let them cross the border without seeing them. So now in my thoughts, they have either killed the Isle that saw them, which is scary in itself if they managed to do that, or they've come through a waygate or some other way like that. I'll find out. Rand was making good choices, learning to use the spear from Ruark in front of people. I thought that was a really good choice, but it probably did contribute to him being tired. Matt was right. Not necessarily the best way to use your energy in the heat of the day. He's going to be tired regularly. Like, this is just the kind of adventure that someone would be tired on. He's not going to always be able to get a lot of sleep. So if that's part of his problems with channeling, he's going to have bigger problems that he needs to work through, I think. But it's possible there's something else going on there, maybe linked to the Peddlers, or maybe linked to just his ability to channel just in general, the taint and all that. Moraine is almost definitely listening in on conversations. Has she had this sparkling gem-like thing for a while? Or is it a new acquisition from Rudian or from the Wise Ones? It will cause further distrust when Rand finds out about it, if this is what's actually going on. And I think she knows that she needs to keep it from him, because it will not help if Rand thinks that his conversations are being listened into. That will be very, very bad. Very bad. Natail the Gleeman is a worry. He knows something potentially about Matt. Is he trying to help Matt put things together? The Manetheren song was a little bit is he trying to help Matt put things together or cause problems? Matt's definitely piecing something together. The question is how long before he realizes that he's reincarnated, or whatever, however they describe it. Or has he already figured that out and is just processing it and hasn't had that moment of sort of saying for us to see that that's what's going on? And from what I read, I actually read this section twice to try and work it out. It doesn't sound like he's the king of, or he's connected to the king of Manetheren, maybe an advisor, but who is it? I don't quite know, so I'll look forward to reading more about that, and I might even go back over this section again to see if I missed something, because I don't quite know there. Anyway, well, maybe he's just a random Manetheren. connected in some way. These peddlers, the 4 we've met, so I know one of them is a gleeman, but the 4 characters we've met are really confusing. They're not in a way of I need people to explain it to me. They're just they have made me ask so many questions. I don't know what their plans are. I don't know what they want, who they are, what's going on. I don't know, and I just have to keep reading. But I think at least the next chapter I know is not about these people. It's about it's changing location again. So I'm not going to know for a little while about what their intentions are, and that's frustrating me. I just want to know. I want to keep reading. But I'm doing a very, very good job of avoiding spoilers. I'm so proud of myself. So last thoughts here. Also, every woman Matt notices, in a good or a bad way, is on my list of possible possibilities for Daughter of the Nine Moon. Every single time he mentions like someone's name, not Moraine or a Gwen, but Adeline or Melaine are the 2 that I'm focused on, or that I've noticed he's really noticed in the last 2 chapters. Because the other person is Isendre, and I don't think that it would be her. I think she's more likely to be evil. Look, I don't know whether she is or not, but maybe that's who he ends up with. I don't know. He ends up marrying someone, but I will find out sooner rather than later, I'm sure. So they are my thoughts for these chapters. I can't even remember which chapters. The 7 chapters that I just spoke about. That's my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have noticed when you read the book. What did you notice? What stood out to you? What was your favourite moments? Who were your favourite characters? Was there anything that you noticed in this part of the book that maybe I missed or didn't talk about? There was a lot going on, and there were so many things I actually thought I should write about that, but then I had nothing to actually say about it, so I didn't. There was a lot going on, and it was really great. Loved it, loving the book, and I'm really hoping over the course of this weekend that I might even manage to finish it. I think once I hit a certain point in the book, I will just sort of power through it. It really depends on what I end up doing this weekend, but I'm loving it. I hope you are enjoying these videos. Jump down in the comments, physically jump down in the comments, and join in the conversation, and I will chat with you again on Friday or Saturday, depending on how my work week falls out for the rest of the week. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.